Hi everyone, I'm Jody. Thank you so much for joining me for this hip opening video. We'll begin in standing mountain pose, Tadasana. Inhale, lift your arms over your head. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold, come all the way over. Inhale, come halfway up, looking forward. Exhale, fold in, plant your hands, and step back to plank pose, top of a push-up. From plank, slow and steady, lower yourself down to the earth. Release the tops of your toes. Inhale, cobra, heart forward, triceps back. Exhale, downward dog. In downward dog, connect with your Ujjayi breath, breathing in and out the nose with a gentle constriction at the back of your throat. You can hear your breath with your inner ear. And try to keep this Ujjayi breath throughout your practice today. On your next inhale, lift your right leg to the sky. And as you exhale, draw the knee in, step the foot forward. We're coming to crescent pose, so stay on the ball of your back foot and rise up. Maybe take your hands to the top of your thighs. Maybe even find a gazing point, that's something that's not moving. That'll help with balance. From here, release the arms and lift them up. Crescent pose. We're opening the hip flexor at the front of the hip here. Enjoy 3 more nourishing breaths. Last one, big inhale, lean back a little, lift your heart. Exhale, release. Hands come down, step back to plank pose, and slowly lower down to the earth. In slowness, we build strength. Release the tops of the toes. Anchor the tailbone. Inhale, lift up into cobra. Heart forward, triceps back. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, lift your left leg to the sky. Exhale, step your left foot forward. Again, coming into crescent, so hug your feet towards each other, and then maybe take the hands at first to the top of the thigh. Find that gazing point, and when you're ready, lift your arms. Enjoy a few deep and full breaths here in crescent pose. We're opening the psoas muscle, one of the main hip flexors. 2 more big breaths. Inhale. Exhale, soften. Last one. Inhale, maybe lean back a little. Beautiful. Exhale, release. From here, take your hands down, and we're going to step back into downward dog. From downward dog, come onto your toes and slowly lower your knees down to the earth. Take a quarter turn facing the side wall, coming into frog pose here. Slide your knees wide, and then turn your feet so that you're on the inside, the arches of the feet are touching the earth. So slide your feet as wide as you can. And then you're going to lower down onto your forearms. So lower your forearms down. Here is frog pose. Now the tendency in frog pose is to sort of dump in the belly. So see if you can anchor your tailbone towards your pubic bone. You'll feel your belly lift up a little bit. Keep that. Continue to connect with your breath. Maybe slide your knees out a little wider. Anchor the tailbone, draw the belly up, and breathe. One more. At the bottom of that exhale, slowly bring yourself out, plant your hands, slide your knees in. From here, turn back to the front of the mat, coming into cat pose. Tuck your toes, lift your hips up and back, downward dog. Coming into right side pigeon pose. Inhale, lift your right leg towards the sky. As you exhale, draw the knee forward, and it's going to go a little bit towards the right side. Here, let's pause and see if we can square the hips. So when you come into pigeon, if your right hip is really, really lifted here, then you're going to want to slide a pillow or a block under your hip to help support it. If your hip is not lifted and it's down on the earth, then you don't need the pillow. But just take a moment here, take TP fingers, inhale, lift up, and see if you can draw the front hip back and the back hip forward, squaring the hips. Now, as you exhale, we're going to fold forward, and you can go ahead and let the tops of your toes release down to the earth. And just make a pillow here with your forearms. Allow your head to rest on your forearms. Now take your mind to your sit bones and see if you can, on an inhale, widen your sit bones. Keep them wide, and then as you exhale, gently anchor the tailbone towards the pubic bone. Again, you'll feel the belly lift up. And just surrender here and enjoy a few nourishing breaths. The deeper we breathe, the more relaxed we become, the more receptive our body is to change. So if you want to take this a little deeper, you can either stay like this, or if you want to take it deeper, you're going to come up and slide your left hand in front of your right knee, and your left ear is going to come down to the earth, and then you can bring your hands into side prayer. And then slow and steady, we'll release and come back up. From here, tuck the back toes and lift up and back into downward dog. On your next inhale, lift your left leg towards the sky, and exhale, come forward into left side pigeon. Again, the left knee goes a little bit towards the left. And again, if your hip is really lifted, slide a block or a blanket under it. That's really wise to have that support for your hip. So pausing here on TP fingers, lift up. Isometrically draw your front hip back and your back hip forward to square the hips. And then when you're ready, begin to hinge at your hips and fold forward. We'll make a pillow with the forearms, and you can go ahead and release the top of the back toes down. And just enjoy this opening here in your left hip. See if you can actually lengthen your breath here. An option here, you can stay right here in pigeon, or if you want to take it a little deeper, you're going to slowly lift yourself up and take your right hand in front of your left knee. Your right ear will come down to the earth, and then bring your hands into side prayer. And at the bottom of your next exhale, slowly unwind, press yourself up. From here, we're going to just swing the back leg around. Swing the back leg around, and then just take both legs out in front and maybe windshield wiper the toes. Coming into a double pigeon, we'll begin by bending the right knee, and if you can, see if you can wrap the foot comes into the elbow crease, and we're wrapping our hands here around the calf. Now this might be too much, and if it is, then another option is to actually take the hands under and rock like this. So either the foot's in the crook of the elbow, the knee's in the other elbow, and we're rocking like this, or the hands are underneath. And then just bring the rocking to stillness. And now we're going to gently bend the left knee and slide the leg back. And release your hands. Take TP fingers behind you. So we're working our way into double pigeon pose, but for some of us, this is going to be enough. And so if that's you and you're feeling an amazing stretch right now in your right hip, then you can stay right here. Otherwise, for the full double pigeon pose, we are going to release our calf down to the earth, and ultimately in double pigeon pose, the shins here are stacked. So it's nice just take a moment to take your teepee fingers to the earth and wiggle your butt side to side. And then see if you can come back down with equal weight on your sit bones. Take your hands to your feet and press your feet and hands together, waking up the muscles in the legs. Now, for many of us, this is a huge stretch, and it's enough. So you could close your eyes here and enjoy a few deep breaths. Or, with the heart leading, begin to hinge at the hips and fold forward. So you want to find your edge, that place where you're feeling the stretch and you know that you're growing and you're lengthening your muscles, but you're not pushing too hard. So find your edge, close your eyes, and breathe. And on your next inhale, slowly lift up, take the hands behind you, send the legs out in front, and maybe just windshield wiper the feet. Same thing, second side, bend your left leg and either wrap it with the foot in the crook of the elbow and the other elbow around the top of the thigh, the bottom of the thigh. Or if that feels like too much, you can just take the hands like this and rock side to side. So we begin like this because we're saying hello to the external rotators, the muscles in the hip. Just saying hello at first. And then we will bend the right knee, slide the foot back, take teepee fingers behind you, and enjoy a few breaths here. Option to stay here or come into the full double pigeon pose by releasing the outside of the right calf down to the earth, stacking the left calf on top. Lift yourself up onto your teepee fingers and shake your butt side to side, and then see if you can come back down with the sit bones equally rooted into the earth. Take your hands to your feet and inhale, press your feet into your hands. Exhale, just soften. And find your edge. Maybe staying right here is perfect for you. Maybe you're feeling like you can lead with your heart and hinge at the hip. So really important to keep your spine in line and keep the shoulder heads drawing back if you are folding forward. And close your eyes. It's always interesting to note that sometimes one hip will feel a little bit more open than another. So it can be a really wise practice in your home practice to spend a little bit more time on the side that feels tighter. And if you do that, eventually the sides will become even. On your next inhale, slowly come up, take the hands behind you and release the legs forward. Windshield wipering the feet. Coming here into straddle pose. So send the legs wide. You want to have the legs to be straight. So if you take your legs really wide and the knees bend, then you would want to bring them closer together. But again, we're finding that edge, that place where we can feel a little stretch, but we're not pushing too hard. So here in straddle pose, check in and make sure your shoulder heads are behind your sternum, so your spine is nice and long. And for many of us, this is a huge stretch, and just sitting here in straddle pose is enough. If, however, you'd like to take it deeper, you'll begin to hinge at the hips and lead with the heart, slowly leaning forward. And you can walk your hands out in front, just keep the spine nice and long. And close your eyes, finding your edge in straddle. Allowing each exhale to open your body a little bit more. One more. And on your next inhale, slowly lift yourself up. From here, slide your feet back towards each other. Coming into Gomukhasana, take your hands behind you and you're going to bend both knees and take your right knee on top of your left and then bring the knees down. So the feet will go wide. Now, ultimately, in Gomukhasana here, the knees are going to be stacked. So for some of you, your knee might be way up here, and that's okay, as long as there isn't any discomfort in your knees. If you feel discomfort in your knees, then you should skip this one for sure. But otherwise, in Gomukhasana, the knees are stacked, the feet are wide, and the sit bones are rooting down. So it's nice to start here with the hands behind us so that we can have those shoulder heads back and the heart forward. And then you can release the hands to your feet and maybe begin to hinge at your hips. Close your eyes and allow each exhale to open your hips a little more. On your next inhale, lift yourself back up and release, sending the legs forward, shake them out a bit. Coming into the second side, bend the knees and stack the left knee on top of the right, flexing the feet, send them wide. And again, we're stacking the knees. Sometimes it's nice here too to take TP fingers, lift up, shake the butt a little, and then come back down so that your sit bones are equally rooted into the earth. Enjoy a nourishing inhale. Ask the shoulder heads to move back. Shine your heart forward. Soften on your exhale. Hands can come to the feet, pressing the feet into the hands, hands into the feet. That keeps the legs awake. And with your eyes closed, leading with your heart, find your edge and breathe into it. On your next inhale, slowly come on up and send the legs forward again. Whew. Here, just draw the sit bones down into the earth. So maybe even take your hands and get that fleshy part of your butt out of the way so you can literally feel your sit bones rooting down. So this is literally a yoga pose. And what we want is the spine to be nice and long and straight. And for some of us, this might even be too much. So if your knees have to bend a little, then that's okay. But ultimately and eventually, the legs will be straight. This is called staff pose, Dandasana. Moving from here into Paschimottanasana, which means opening the west side. Keep the spine long and begin to hinge at your hips. folding forward. So as we fold forward, keep the shoulder heads drawing into the back plane of the body. So we want to avoid any kind of rounding. So sometimes our tendency might be to sort of do this because we really want to get down, but that's not going to serve us in the end. So instead, hinging at the hips, leading with your heart. Yes, you can gradually walk your hands out, but keep the spine nice and long. So again, find your edge. Close your eyes and breathe. And slow and steady, lift yourself up. From here, we'll join the soles of our feet together and slide them close to our body. Let's inhale, root the sit bones down and lift the heart. Exhale, soften the boundaries of your skin. Inhale, shoulder heads back, heart forward. Exhale, begin to hinge at your hips. And in these hip openers, it's really nice to close your eyes and to just feel what's happening inside of you. And then on your next inhale, slowly come up. From here, we'll lay back. Keep the feet together. Slowly lay back and just gently take the back of your hands and rest them on the earth. So this is a nice, gentle hip opener where the weight of the knees is helping to open the hips. Enjoy a few breaths here. And on your next inhale, lift your knees up and plant them on the earth. And then let's cross the right ankle above the left knee. I'm just going to turn sideways. Cross the right ankle above the left knee. And you're going to draw your legs towards you. If it's available, take your hand between your legs and your left hand wraps around. So the hands are going to interlace behind the back of the left leg. Now, if when you do this, if your shoulder heads lift up and you're really rounded in order to get the hands to connect, then you'd be better off laying back and maybe using a tie or just having your hands rest here. So this is actually upside down pigeon pose. Opening the same muscles, the external rotators that pigeon opened. As you inhale, just gently ask your left knee to draw toward you. As you exhale, ask the right knee to draw away. And at the bottom of your next exhale, slowly release. And then we'll cross left ankle above the right knee and draw the legs towards you, taking the left hand between the legs and the right hand wraps around. Ultimately, they're going to interlace behind the right hamstring. Make sure your feet are flexed here. That's going to wake up the muscles in your legs and protect your knees. So if any emotions come up for you while you're opening your hips, know that that is totally normal. We hold a lot of emotions and stories from our past in our hips and in the tissues in our bodies. And when we begin to open our hips, some of those emotions will come up. If they do, just observe them. one more nourishing breath. And then exhale, release. Hug your knees in towards your chest. And let's slide gracefully into Shavasana, our final resting pose. So allow the feet to go, the legs go long, and then the feet just sort of fall out to the side. The back of your hands will rest on the earth. And close your eyes. Shavasana is the most important pose in our practice. Here in Shavasana, the body will integrate all that it has learned. And this time in Shavasana is here for you to nourish yourself on a very deep level. So if you have time today, I invite you to stay in Shavasana for a few minutes. I'm going to bring us out of Shavasana for now. Let's begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Reach your arms over your head. Bend one knee and slide the foot in and then the other. And gently roll onto your right side, just making a pillow with your right bicep, savoring these peaceful moments in your day. And press your left hand down and slowly come on up into a comfortable cross-legged seat and bring your hands into prayer, bowing your head into the light of your heart. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.